Hi, this is week 4 of the traditional quilt block series. These are the ones we've completed so far. I will talk about the setting that you see up on the design wall after I put the block together. So stick around if you're interested in making this quilt. And so today we have the Churn Dash. I've already put together the 3-inch and the 9-inch, and I will be piecing the 6-inch here. And along the way, I'll be sharing with you some historical tidbits I found out about the Churn Dash. So let's get started. I have my pattern pieces all cut out and ready to go according to the pattern. There's a link to get the pattern in the description below. And on this pattern, there's what I call a little extra on the second page where you can make this cool 3D effect by just adding one step. So check that out. And I will put the 3, 6, and 9-inch cutting instructions up on the screen, and this little diagram will be useful to you. The pieces referenced 1 and 2 will make up the 4 half square triangles. Pieces 3 and 4 will make up the 4 half square rectangles, and number 5 is the center piece. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make 4 at a time half square triangles, and we're going to do that with these 2 big squares. So we're going to put them right sides together, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch to the inside all the way around this square. And this is oversized, so there is a little bit of wiggle room, so you can relax. All right, over to the cutting table with this. So on this one, what we're going to do is going to cut diagonally from the inside corner of your stitched square, not necessarily the corner of the fabric, but where you stitched. And go ahead and slice that. And without moving the fabric, just give it a 1/4 turn. And do the same the other direction. Okay, that will get us our half square triangles. Just going to set the seams. And I will be pressing these to the dark. And I'm going to use this little homemade plywood clapper. It doesn't have any finish on the outside, so it's free. It's a free clapper. But it does a trick. It flattens the piece while the piece cools off. Oops. Okay, so these we trim down to 2.5 inches. I like to take advantage of the diagonal line on my ruler. All right, back to the machine. All right. Next, we're gonna sew together our half square rectangles, and we can actually start laying out our block. So the Churn Dash block is named after the stick that was used in the old style butter churns in the 1800s. That stick used to agitate to make the butter was called the dasher or the Churn Dash. And it's this block's resemblance to the bottom of that stick, as you see, that gave it its name. Okay, so we're just going to go right sides together, and we're going to stitch along the long edge of each of these. The Churn Dash block originated in the US sometime between 1800 and 1849. And I'll put up on the screen for you here a few of the quilts that still exist today that are from the 1800s. Different versions of quilts made from the Churn Dash block. And see how similar it is to the shoe fly. The shoe fly, if you watch that video, we learned that that was one of the first blocks that a young girl would learn to make because it's so simple. And the same is true of the Churn Dash. A lot of young girls, their first quilt would be one made of Churn Dash blocks. I don't know what just happened there. Wow, I think I just got dyslexia all of a sudden. I actually have I have a bad shoulder. I need surgery, and so I think what that was a result of me learning how to throw the ball for my dog with my left hand. So now I think I get confused about which hand I need to use for what. That's funny. We'll see how I did sewing that left-handed seam. Well, these don't have any wiggle room, so hopefully I'm going to press these to the dark side also. All right, now we get to piece this block together. And so I'm just going to turn the center row upside down on top of the left row and go from top to bottom and chain piece these. This is a point during making a block where I actually need to slow down. This is where things get wonky for me. I don't know, I get anxious to finish or something maybe, but this is when I need to really pay attention to my accurate 1/4 inch seam. Now, without cutting the thread, I'm going to finger press these. I'm going to press the top and bottom rows toward the center. And I'm going to press the middle row toward the outside. Or or toward the dark side, I should say, for that center row anyhow. I always try to press away from triangles when possible. I'm not sure it's saving me any bulk. That feels pretty thick right there, but that's my policy. All right, now we can do the right column. And I'm using a 1.8 stitch length. That's just kind of that's what I use when I piece. I think it's whatever works best for you. As long as your seams aren't coming open. So the Churn Dash has a ton of other names. Read some of them off to you here. The broken plate, double monkey wrench, double T, dragon's head, fisherman's reel, hens and chickens, hole in the barn door, and Indian hammer. I think I've heard of the monkey wrench, and that's the only one I've heard of. All right, so I'm gonna finger press these the same way I did on that first column, which is away from the triangle on the top and bottom rows and towards the outside on the middle row. Now, since the seams are going opposite directions, I should be able to nest these, and I am actually going to pin during this step. Looks good. That one's slightly off, but not enough to worry about. Oops, I flipped that seam. I'm just gonna snip that. Give this all a good press. And I think I'm going to press these to, yeah, I'm going to press these to the middle. That's where they want to go. I think I'm going to spray a little Mary Ellen's on this. Get these seams a little flatter. This is Best Press. Works very well for making those seams flat in the end. Yeah, this block isn't perfect, I can already tell, but okay. Always looks a lot better when you trim it down. So there we go, the 6-inch Churn Dash. So I will meet you back at the design wall so we can talk about this quilt layout. So I just wanted to talk about the different layouts for the different block sizes. So obviously this is our quilt for these 9-inch blocks. There'd be 12 of them. And that will finish at 52 by 64. And I have completed all of the cutting instructions and the fabric requirements for finishing this quilt top for the 9-inch blocks. And I even have instructions how to make these 9 pouches from strip sets. So I also put the cutting instructions in there if you're going scrappy, if you're cutting the squares individually. All that's in there. It's linked in the description below. And then we've got these 6-inch blocks, which I actually really like. And I have a layout, and I will be doing cutting instructions and fabric requirements for this as well in the next week or two. But this is what we're looking at for a baby quilt, 37 inches by 45 inches. And for these cute little 3-inch blocks, oh my God, they're so cute. I have a layout for a 16-inch or larger throw pillow. So at the very least, I will give you guys a link for my favorite throw pillow, sleeved throw pillow cover. I may end up making this, I don't know. But I do plan on making the baby quilt at the end of this series. I'll put together this and I'll put together that. That's the plan. So, there's only 3 blocks before this, and these are all very simple blocks. This is a perfect quilt for a beginner, I think. I think as a skill builder, for the beginner quilter, this would be perfect. I actually joined in a sew along that was, the blocks were, I felt, pretty advanced. And even though I did the 9-inch version, it was quite the struggle. I didn't even have a 1/4-inch seam down, and I just learned everything. It was wonderful for learning, but it was very frustrating. And some of the blocks in that took me 6 to 8 hours each to make the 9-inch version. So this, I think, would be awesome. And if I could have run across something like this when I was at that point needing to build some skills, this would have been wonderful. So I highly recommend this. So anyway, thank you for being with me, and I hope that some of you will sew along. If you want, jump on over into the private Facebook group so we can share our progress, and that's linked in the description below as well. And I will see you next week.